If you're watching this video, that means you're probably one of the few loyal viewers of this channel. You see, I don't expect this type of video to get thousands of views, certainly not hundreds of thousands, and definitely not millions. It's not the type of video to go viral, but that's kind of the point. I wanted to talk to the people who are really excited about this type of production, hybrid production, specifically with the Lumix cameras, but not exclusively. You see, I want to put together more documentation around production this style, and I kind of call it filmmaker alchemy, turning content into revenue, into gold, into monetization. Making money off of content is very difficult because a lot of people want to do it, and I feel like a lot of people in the filmmaking world default to client-based production. Video production, hire me to shoot for the day as a camera operator, as a DP, whatever. And that's fine and that's great. But then we find ourselves in the freelance game chasing the next project, chasing the next client. And I found a way over the past 5 years, not on this channel, but on other YouTube channels, a way to make content as passive revenue, as passive income for myself, in addition to the client work. And that's really what I want to open people's eyes to, is you don't have to pick one or the other and be an influencer, be a content creator, or be a video production company, or just be a camera operator. You can do a little bit of everything and really find a way to keep yourself busy with production, with what we love to do. I imagine you're that type of person. And the thing is, I can't really do that sustainably on YouTube alone through YouTube monetization. The revenue just isn't there. For a video that gets 100 views, that's like a couple cents. There's basically no money in it, especially when you're shooting with devices like Lumix, which are not the most popular cameras, so they are kind of the underdog, kind of underappreciated. And that's why I appreciate them so much, because there's so much added value there that you get from a Lumix camera that you don't get from Sony or Nikon or Canon. And all those systems are still good. People, have their preferences for what they like to do. But there's no sustainable way to make content around Lumix and instructional because the audience for this just isn't there. It's not the million people who want to watch a detailed video tutorial about how to shoot with a hybrid camera. It's not sustainable in a long-term way. So I set up memberships on this channel. I'm still going to make regular content like this, talking about news or my thoughts on features and performance, like all the normal stuff that I've been doing. I've been on YouTube, since like 2011 probably. So a very long time, and I've been off and on over that time. When I get excited about creating content, I do it more often, and when I get focused on other things, I do that instead. But there's no sustainable way to make this type of content that I want to make relying on YouTube revenue. It's just not there. The videos are not going to go viral. I know that. And the only way to make them, and I appreciate the people that do out of passion, out of the feel like it's their purpose or they're really excited. But I want to take you a layer deeper, more behind the scenes, more understanding like the business side of production, how all the different things you can do, how you can do them with the tools, but also the financial component, the monetary component, how you can make content and monetize that. And it doesn't have to be, this one size fits all corporate model of video production where you're working for clients, always executing their projects, their vision, and you never really get to feel fulfilled as an artist. And that's what I found over the last 4 or 5 years, a way to be fulfilled doing what I love, which is client-based work, but also content production, monetizing it, finding a way to make all those dots connect, and running a business, a proper business that doesn't rely on a client paying 100% of the bills. I still have clients. I still do client work. Again, this is not to say that clients are bad. Clients are great, and they can be your main income stream. But you can also supplement with content, as well as just understanding how to take the fullest advantage of these types of cameras. But if I put together a tutorial on how to get the most out of your Lumix GH7 or whatever it might be, that's a very niche audience. And instead of setting up a website or a masterclass or anything like that, I just thought I'd make it easy by doing the YouTube memberships. So if you want, I set up Filmmaker Alchemy as a YouTube membership. It's just one tier right now. I think that's kind of how I'll keep it for the foreseeable future. And it's just a way for me to create more of that exclusive niche type of content in addition to everything that I'm already doing publicly, But behind that paywall for members only, we can actually discuss some of the stuff that just doesn't make sense on a grand public scale. I'm not going to make a camera tutorial that's going to perform at the same level of Mr. Beast or any of your other favorite entertaining content creators. It's just not realistic, but it's also what I want to do. And so finding a way to make that make sense financially, I think is important, because I'm a firm believer that you shouldn't do something that doesn't actually make you money. It's not profit generating. It's that kind of classic example when everyone's first getting started and, oh, I'm not going to pay you, but I'm going to pay you an exposure. That doesn't make sense. Don't do those kinds of projects. Don't spend more money on something than you're making from that project. Everything has to be sustainable for it to exist long term. You can, be busy real quick doing a lot of work for a lot of people, but if the dollars and cents don't add up at the end of the day, you're going to burn out real fast and it's all going to come crumbling down. Same is true for YouTube content. You have to find a way to make it work that the cost is not more than the return. And there's really not a good way to do that with this type of content that I'm passionate about, that I assume you're passionate about. If you're watching this channel, it's because there's something a little bit different. Like, I'm wired a little bit different, and I know that because the way I think, the way I approach stuff is not the pop culture, what's everyone doing? Let's just, follow the recipe that everyone else does. Because I think that's kind of boring, and I think you're missing out. I think you're missing out on those hacks, the clever tricks, the ways to do it that are faster, better, more efficient, saves you money, doing more with less. That's what I love, the effortless nature of production, creating something compelling, long-lasting, and worthwhile. Turning content into gold is kind of that's what is filmmaker alchemy. How do you do it? And so that's what I want to talk about with the people who are interested in that very specific type of thing. So again, I set up memberships for that reason. I don't want you to have to go off of YouTube. Don't go someplace else. Don't come to my website. Don't do anything like that. It's right here on YouTube, just using the members feature. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. There's still going to be, I'm trying to do daily content. So it can just be the thing you can listen to in the background, turn on each and every day. You don't have to watch every video. I certainly know that that's not the case. But it seems to me that there's these really big YouTube channels, content creators who spend a lot of time and effort and energy on YouTube videos that at the end of the day are kind of just glorified tutorials or just kind of glorified news updates of, hey, this camera just came out, and it's basically just marketing at that point. It goes over the spec sheet, and it's all the same stuff you could see on B&H or Amazon, wherever you're buying the camera from. But they're spending so much time and effort and energy making a cool YouTube video. And I wonder how they're monetizing that behind the scenes. I don't really know. Of certainly getting plenty of views, but it's hard. That's a hard game, especially with the YouTube algorithm these days. It's got its preferential treatment for certain people, and you're trying to build something else up in a niche space like what we're talking about doing. This hybrid production, again, specifically with Lumix, not exclusively, but specifically. It's tough. It's tough to get enough views to justify that type of expense, and so I've kind of taken the approach of I don't want to play that game. I don't want to do those types of things. I want to be more of like just the casual conversational person. Like that's what we, do on set, on production, with the crew, with each other. We're always talking about cameras, talking about gear. Oh, did you test this out? Oh, did you test that out? And it's maybe cool for like 10 of us, but it's really cool. And I get really excited about that versus, hey, there's this new camera coming out and here's, all the boxes it checks. And it's great. It's great. You got to buy it. Buy. I'd rather show you how to make the content in a way that's sustainable, that you can monetize, that you can get the most out of, you can be creative, you can set yourself up for success and actually get better. Because that's the other hidden part of this whole equation is the more you work, the better you get at lighting, at shooting, at editing, whatever it might be. So keeping yourself busy is to your advantage, but it doesn't make sense if you're not making money off of that work, off of your effort. There's a period of time, I think, when people are younger where they have more time for a hobby. But once you become a working professional, it's really hard to justify constantly busying yourself with projects that don't have any return. They don't have any financial benefit to you. How are you able to do those things and make money? And guess what happens? That amplifies your work. You end up getting more clients, and the work that you're delivering for those clients is actually better because maybe now you have the revenue to buy the little bit more expensive piece of gear or the lens you've been after or whatever. So financially you're rewarded and you can invest in yourself and invest in your equipment. But more importantly, your skills, your experience, your wisdom is also amplified. And if I can share my experience and wisdom, however good that might be, with you, and we can learn something from each other, I think that's the most satisfying thing I could do, with 100 people. That's all I really want. It's not for 1 million people. There's not 1 million people out there who want to do this, but there's probably maybe like 100 of you out there where when we kind of learn from each other, and you can certainly avoid the mistakes that I've made, but also learn some of the cool, weird stuff that I'm doing behind the scenes and apply that to your own work, you might see a lot of benefit there too. If that sounds like you, I definitely recommend you checking it out, because you can cancel at any time. Of course, it's just a YouTube membership. So if you don't like the content, give me that feedback and I can certainly make it better. And I can also custom tailor it for what exactly are you looking for. I've seen a lot of comments asking for very specific niche type testing that just you can't do because it's going to get 10 views on YouTube, But if there's a group of us all working together, that could actually be worthwhile and really interesting to test some of the very specific niche fringe case scenarios. So I welcome the feedback, and I want to just kind of give you that peek inside behind the scenes of what it's like to actually work very regularly on client work, content production, just creating what I think we all want to create, which is something of value. Like, it's the art side of it, the creativity, but it's also the technical side and making sure that that creative vision is executed properly, because the last thing you want to do is make a technical mistake and it ruins the creative process because you don't get what you were after. But then also just like the fun nature of working and how uplifting that can be, as opposed to the really stressful, high-pressure scenarios that we also may find ourselves in from time to time. You really have to know how to navigate all of that, how to make it make sense financially for yourself. And really, that's kind of what my whole goal has been for the last 4 or 5 years. Figuring out how I can do what I love, but not feel like I'm a starving artist every single day, every single week, waiting for something big to break or hoping that I finally secure a client. There's a lot of effort that I want to put in, investment in myself, that has paid off. And if I can show you how to do something similar, it's not going to be identical. It's not the same. We're different people. We're different creators in different places, probably around the world. But there's certainly lessons that can be provided, and you can kind of take that peek and see what it's really like to do this work regularly beyond just, hey, this new camera came out. Isn't that cool? You should go buy it. I don't want it to be that. I don't want to be just a marketer and advertiser for some company. Yes, there's cameras that I really like the GH7, for example, right now. But you don't even have to use that. You could use probably anything. And those are the lessons that I want to apply. The stuff that's less search friendly, the stuff that's less viral, the stuff that's just less popular, but is super, super valuable for the people who need it. So that's why I set it up, because it's the only way to make it sustainable. But I think the content is actually better and more helpful for the handful of people that it applies to. So it's right here on YouTube. It's just a membership. You can sign up, you can cancel anytime. It's really no big deal. And I'm going to try and basically double my output in terms of having the daily regular YouTube content as well as the additional members only content. I don't know if it'll quite be double, but I'm going to try my best to make as much as possible so the value's there for whoever needs it, whether it's the free to watch stuff or the members only. I just like talking about this stuff, and I like making content. I like video production. And when I get to do it for clients, and when I get to do it for myself, and when I get to make content, that's kind of the best of all those worlds, firing on all cylinders. And it's possible for anyone. And maybe there's, better tutorial systems and master classes out there. I don't know. But you can at least see my individual perspective that has taken me 20 years to get to at this point. So it's not necessarily a recipe for success, but it's certainly, I don't know how to describe it. Insights, wisdom, probably. So I'll try and help you as much as I can. And again, if it's worthwhile to you, please take the time, because then we can actually work together and it can be, better than just broadcasting junk to the world, because no one wants that. I don't want to make junk. I don't want to make clickbait. I want to make stuff that's really helpful and really useful for the people who need it.